drummers Louie Bellson. Oh, Louie! I love Louie Bellson. Hello, my name is Chris Quinlan. As I said, welcome to Melbourne Musos Live. I love my jazz drummers, and this is the ongoing love affair with jazz drummers everywhere. And tonight is Louie's turn. What it is my friend Marcus, if you're watching, he sent me a clip. He said, have you seen this? And I said, sure, I've seen it. I love Louie Bellson. It's all about how double bass drum did not start with heavy metal or rock. Keith Moon and Ginger Baker are two of the greats in the 60s who pioneered, let's say, double bass drum in England, at least, in London. And you know where they got it from? Louie Bellson, you see, because Louie Bellson's band, the Duke Ellington Orchestra that he was with for so long, and all that came to tour Europe and England, and Keith Moon and Ginger Baker are two famous drummers who went, I want what he has. I even have footage up there in behind the bookcase of Keith Moon with a single bass drum when the Who were just starting out with him. And wonderful hands in the early days and all that. And what it is it all comes from Louie Bellson, you see. He pioneered the use of two bass drums in jazz, namely big band jazz. There it is there. And he had such an affinity with Duke Ellington in the sense that after Louie Bellson went out on his own, all that, Duke Ellington required every drummer that came after Louie Bellson to have two bass drums. Sam Woodyard and people like that, if you have the albums and the Duke Ellington suites, all that, and it's just wonderful stuff. There you go. He's famous, everyone's got a famous drum solo. I taught Sing, 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 or at least showed it to one of my students just this week when it came to progressive accents on the snare and doing different things and what a wonderful pair of hands Louie Bellson had. I'm going to talk about his life in just 1 second. But the double bass drum reigns supreme. Now, a lot of people think, is that hot for teacher? Nope. Louie! Yeah! There we go. Let's go. Louie Bellson. Here we are. Let's see. Technology, don't fail me now. Louie Bellson, born Luigi Pallini Alfredo Francesco Antonio Ballassoni. Oh, what a mouthful. That is beautiful. July 6, 1924 to February 14th, 2009. Okay. Often seen in sources as Louis Bellson, although he himself preferred the spelling Louie. There it is. Was an American jazz drummer. He was a composer, arranger, band leader, and jazz educator, and is credited with pioneering the use of two bass drums. Bellson and his wife, actress and singer Pearl Bailey, married from 1952 until Bailey's death in 1990, had the second highest number of appearances at the White House. Only Bob Hope had more. There you go. Bellson was a vice president at Remo, a drum company, Drum Skins. These are Evans, but he was big with Remo. And he was inducted into the Modern Drummer Hall of Fame in 1985. There you have it. There's just the start. Okay. I'll come back to that. I'm up to his biography. I'll come back to it. Now, one of the things about Louie Bellson was his superb technique. And the thing about it, if I'm going to go about talking about Louie Bellson, which I'll continue in just a second, let's break it up a little bit. He was also quite the innovator. I don't have a pair here, but I used to have a pair where he used to come up with these little ideas of things, and he was quite a bit of a futurist. He worked things out, and one of his simple things, that's fairly straightforward, the reason I'm holding this stick up, he had a stick brush. Louie Bellson stick brush. You could, instead of having your brushes off to one side and you've got to put your sticks down and pick the brushes up and the tom-tom becomes the most expensive table you've ever had, what he did was when he had a song that needed brushes, he'd start with the brushes and then, sticks, the stick brush. I'll put it up there, and there you go, sort of thing. He's quite the innovator. He was vice president. He became a vice president of Remo. And who remembers, or we still have them, the Remo Roto Toms? I've had sets, but now I have the Piccolo Toms. Who had the Roto Toms off to the side? That kind of thing. First time I saw them was with Alan Sandow of Sherbet. And I've gone, what's that sound there? In the 70s. And I've got an album out there. I'll put it up there. With Louie having one of the first of the Roto Tom drum setups to the side of his normal setup and all that. And amazing sounds. You know, he even had the bass drum Roto Toms. Sounded a bit floppy, but still, anyway. But there it is there. And he's quite the innovator with things like that. So he would do all that biz. I'm going to continue on now a little bit, given I've only got the half hour here. Bellson was born in Rock Falls, Illinois in 1924, where his father owned a music store. He started playing drums at 3 years of age. While still a young child, Bellson's father moved the family and music store to Moline, Illinois. At 15, he pioneered using 2 bass drums at the same time, a technique he invented in his high school art class. At age 17, he triumphed over 40,000 drummers. 40,000, wow. That'd be a noisy room, wouldn't it? Anyway, to win the Slingerland National Gene Krupa contest. After graduating from Moline High School in 1942, he worked with big bands throughout the 1940s with Benny Goodman, Tommy Dorsey, Harry James and Duke Ellington. In 1952, he married jazz singer Pearl Bailey. During the 1950s, he played with the Dorsey brothers. Jazz at the Philharmonic, acted as Bailey's music director and recorded as a leader for Norgran Records and Verve Records. There you are. Okay, so what it is let me get into a bit of the technique. So I'm talking about technique. He had superb hands, velvet, you would say. When I was coming up and I got Duke Ellington Uptown with the aforementioned famous drum solo Skin Deep on it, and I'll put it on, it's gone, I'll have a listen to that. And what I found, my big 2 jazz drums in the day for most people when they're in their teens and stuff was Buddy Rich and Louie Bellson. And then Gene Krupa I got into, funnily enough, after. Some people think it's Gene Krupa, Buddy Rich, then Louie Bellson. It's a bit like the triumvirate, the big 3, if you want to think of it. And what it was I just found just the velvety skills. I mean, Buddy Rich could be brutal. Gene Krupa was just the start of it all, you know, sort of thing. But all of them will go back to wonderful people like Chick Webb and even Joe Jones, Papa Joe Jones and stuff like that with the silky skills. And that's what Louie Bellson, or that's who Louie Bellson mentions. And the thing about when I was listening to Skin Deep and all that, it's just that it was just delivered with aplomb. He was truly a debonair gent, okay? A truly lovely man by all accounts from everyone around, a true gentleman. And that's one of the things that seemed to pour out of his drumming as well, that kind of thing. So when he's playing, we know that best as the John Bonham style. Jingle jangle, I mention it all the time, sure. But what happens if the simple act of taking your left foot... I've often said I'm a child of my time. Deep Purple. Dun, dun, dun. Nye, 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 nye. Oh, sorry, I'll get back on child in time, sorry. Made in Japan. Anyway, Deep Purple in rock. Okay, that's not the subject of tonight. Ian Pace, by the way. Hey! But anyway, what it is Johnny Bottom with the hi-hat with the left foot all the time. Now, when you take things like that, you can start to talk about people like Steve Smith, who a lot of people call the Renaissance man, because Steve Smith was famous, or been famous for such a long time, with Journey and everybody else, but with his drumming and his teaching and techniques and everything, he does a lot with the left-hand start, if you will. That's what my old teacher, Harold, everything was left hand. Now left hand, get the left hand going, Chris. Say hello to your mum. Don't forget, fees are due. All right, I'll be back in 5 minutes. Anyway, there you go. That's another story. But when you've got Bonham doing that, in the days of my youth, like that, go over the left foot on the bass drum, the second bass drum. In those days, until the double kick pedal was invented. So you'd have this. Now, another great jazz drummer, Tony Williams, started doing, oh man, he's such a kid, but he's doing the hi-hat on all of them instead of the normal 2 and 4. Like, that's what Miles Davis loved about him, that pushy. Move that to the bass drum, left side. So I've got a left foot lead there, right? Left, 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 left. Boot cam. I'll put it up there. And bring in the right foot on the in-betweens. That's what you do. And you got that real pushy, pushy, push thing. When you're listening to people like Keith Moon and Ginger Baker, who I name-checked before, who were, as soon as they saw Duke Ellington, Louie Bellson, bang, I need that, I want some of that. And what happened was... one of the things you hear about, or hear with those drummers, is that kind of walk, that bump, 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 you know, that kind of thing. Bump, bump, bump. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, left, right, left, right, left, left. Going for a walk on the pedals, you see. It's like a glorified 2 feel. Ready, Steve? And then, all right, fellas, let's go. I'm doing too much. But what I've got here is the left foot lead. Now, that's what goes on. I'll carry on with a little bit of reading about the great man Louie Bellson, the great innovator, absolute gentleman. Oh, wonderful guy. Over the years, his sidemen included Ray Brown, Pete and Conte Candoli, Candoli, Chuck Findlay, John Hurd, Roger Ingram, Don Menza, Blue Mitchell, Larry Novak, Nat Pierce, Frank Rossolino, Bobby Shue, Clark Terry and Snooky Young. In an interview in 2005 with Jazz Connection magazine, he cited as influences, as I said, Joe Jones, Sid Catlett, who I did not mention, he's wonderful, that guy, and Chick Webb. Quote, I have to give just dues to two guys who really got me off on the drums, Big Sid Catlett and Joe Jones. They were my influences. All three of us realised what Joe Jones did, and it influenced a lot of us. We all three looked to Joe as the papa who really did it. Gene helped bring the drums to the foreground as a solo instrument. Buddy was a great natural player, but we also have to look back at Chick Webb's contributions too. There you are. During the 1960s, he returned to Ellington's orchestra for Emancipation Proclamation Centennial stage production, My People, in and for a concert for sacred music, which is sometimes called the first sacred concert. Ellington called these concerts the most important thing I have ever done. There you go. There's something there. Oh, wonderful. There you go. Terrific stuff. One of the greats. I've got the Buddy Rich Memorial concerts, the first ones in 1989, where Louie Bellson was in the middle, and he had some great little techniques. You know about the split doubles? That's the first time I sort of saw him do split doubles. And you've got a double stroke roll. And then what happens is you split them. It's like a flick, like... Windmills. There you go. That kind of thing. I went, what? Straight to the woodshed. Sorry. So anyway, let's get back to this double bass drum thing and a couple of extra tips, if I may. Now, here's the lick of the century. If you couldn't do this in the 70s, you were nothing. Right, left foot. People do it like that, but you've got to add the hi-hat, okay? I cringe. I die a little inside when I see people saying, oh, this is what John Bonham used to do, with no hi-hat. Just going, there's one out there, and I just go, oh, come on, get off. I'll get on his drum. Gets me mad because it was Jeff Ochiltree, a clip with Jeff Ochiltree on Johnny Bonham's Green Ludwig, and the young whippersnapper got on. He was doing the bottom triplets, as they say. No hi-hat. Oh, I nearly threw him a beer at the bloody screen, I tell you. Got to do this. There you go. But here's a little trick if you've got a double kick or two bass drums, whatever it is. When you're doing this, if you want me to show it to you, you're playing the hi-hat on the main beats. If it's triplets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Floor tom here. Ian Pace is also famous for this as well, seeing I mentioned him before. And then you put your left hand on the tom, and then you add your bass drum, right, left foot. So oh, you can play that forever. Now here comes the trick. Take your foot off the hi-hat, left foot off the hi-hat, put it on your left bass drum or left kick pedal. Take your right hand off the floor tom, put it on the cymbal. You've got this. Put in the left hand. Put in your right foot as the triplets. can put in the jazz room. Get it? Got it? There you go. I'll do it again for you very slowly. What happens is your right hand on the cymbal, left foot on the left side kick or the left bass drum. And left hand. Bring in the right foot. And you'll get sacked immediately. One of the other things too about two bass drums in that kind of context in jazz is that you get a when you're talking about big band jazz and stuff, it's quite common to have that four on the floor pumping away because you're pushing the orchestra. I certainly had to learn that super fast in my years with the City of Essendon Brass Band because they weren't just a marching band. They were a de facto big band as well for certain things, especially when we used to do what was known as the river cruises up on the Murray, you know, the pokey tours, as you would say. And you get all that going because we get up there and we do Glenn Miller and all the medleys and all sorts of different things. It was terrific, wonderful. But for all of that, the double bass were the tubas, you see. Now, when you're on a pokey tour and you're playing with a fairly thirsty band, especially when it's quite warm and lovely in the summer months, and you're doing a lovely little bus tour up through all the rich river country clubs and all the different things on the Murray, you know, Echuca, Moama, all these kinds of places, it's thirsty work. And you'd spend a long weekend, you know, doing 2 clubs a day or whatever it is. You do the lunchtime concert and an evening concert, head to the motel. Management would ring up at about 2 o'clock in the morning saying, card game over, boys. Okay, we better go to bed. We've got an early start. We've got to go up the road and play again there. All the mums and dads, all the lovely, all the retirees, sort of thing. Oh, just going up for a bit of a flutter at the pokies. We're talking 89, 90 sort of thing. Before pokies ended up everywhere and whatever, like the cane toad. But what it is that's when you learnt to get your 4 on the floor going. And because our basses were the tubas, in the afternoon, couple of sherbets. So you're there, come on. Fond memories. They were great players, but you know, it's thirsty work. There you go. So what would happen is that Duke Ellington, back to Louie, you know, you can start getting your 4 on the floor, but you spread the love between 2 bass drums and you last all night. Memories. All right. So yeah. Now that, here I am just going a right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left, There it is there. I better wrap the show up with the last little bit of Mr. Bellson here. Drum tutoring. Bellson was known throughout his career to conduct drum and band clinics at high schools, colleges and music stores. Bellson maintained a tight schedule of clinics and performances of both big bands and small bands in colleges, clubs and concert halls. In between, he continued to record and compose, resulting in more than 100 albums, count them, and more than 300 compositions. Bellson's Telarc debut recording, Louie Bellson and his big band live from New York, was released in June 1994. He also created new drum technology for Remo, for which he was vice president. See, I told you that already. Bellson received an honorary Doctor of Humane Letters in 1985 at Northern Illinois University. As of 2005, among other performing activities, Bellson had visited his hometown of Rock Falls, Illinois, every July for Louie Bellson Heritage Days, a weekend in his honor close to his July 6th birthday, with receptions, music clinics, and other performances by Bellson. At the 2004 event celebrating his 80th birthday, Bellson said, "I'm not that old. I'm 40 in this leg and 40 in the other." He celebrated his birthday every year at the River Music Experience in Davenport, Iowa. There we have it. All right, so there it is. That's a little bit of a treatise on dear Louie Bellson. I better get a wriggle on. I've gone over time already, so I might have to do a little pruning. Maybe I'll take out the tuba players thing so I don't get sued by about the... Anyway, so there it is, and all I can say is go check him out. I've done as much as I can in my little show and have gone over. So here's to the great man. I mean... Thank you! You get it? Got it?